I'm recording right now. Okay, we are getting sound. Okay, very good. All right, one thing you need to do for all my classes, you see how there's no file extensions there? If you don't know how to do this, it's under Organize, File and Folder, Search Options, View. Uncheck this stupid checkbox that says Hide Extensions and Known File Types. That should be renamed as Get a Virus. So that's stupid. Turn that stupid thing off. That is. Now we have all. I was grading Java yesterday. So people are submitting hello world.java.java. It's because they're hiding extensions. So just turn that stupid thing off. Okay. Let's cover a quick presentation, then we're going to walk through the assignment. Okay. I'm not covering Arlene's house. Sorry. If you watched last year's presentation, you don't really need it for this one. So.
It's no fun.
I know, and she'll be thrilled. Okay, let's cover this here. I'm just going to cover a portion of this chapter, okay? But email investigations, this is one chapter that doesn't sound like it's that overall interesting, but I teach the same class for OSU IT, and I assigned the same project even. I had a student come to see me, and he was so thrilled. He got an interview for Chesapeake. And they asked him one question. Do you know how to track an email? He's like, matter of fact, I just did that. And he showed him how to do it, and he got a job. So, and Brandon Gandy, some of you know Brandon. I'm pretty sure it was Brandon it happened to. He works somewhere down at a state agency, and they were blacklisted for sending out spam. In other words, somebody on the network kept sending out spam, so these spam places were blacklisting their domains, so no one was getting emails anymore from them. It turns out it was a contractor that had an infected laptop, was bringing it in, plugging it into the network, sending out all the junk. They would unplug it and go home, so that's why they could never find it. Well, he was actually able to get one of the spam messages and tracked it back to the actual IP of the machine doing it, went through the system, found the DHCP, and found out that it was the laptop, then figured out all just from this project. So, it's very handy, so we're going to show you how to do it. All right. Email investigation. We're going to talk about how they work. Okay, emails everywhere. Y'all agree with that? Yes. There's a lot of phishing attempts. There's spoofing attempts. There's all kinds of issues with email, and so many people click on links and get viruses. It's pretty crazy. If I send you an email with a link on it that might appear to be a virus, I'll always include a subject line. This is for forensics or something, so you know what it is. I'm not infected with the virus, which is good. Just be careful when you open links from people. Normally, email works on a client-server network. You have a client that connects to a server. Easy enough. Here at Rose State, we use Exchange Server. I know Tinker does, and most places do. Some places use GroupWise. You know, there's just a lot of different out there. Normally, you need a username and password, but most people don't check theirs or don't change theirs. Y'all saw the email last year about the president of Syria's password got broken? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like, wow. So it's scary stuff like that. But yeah, email gets broken into all the time. I use a program called LastPass. Anyone ever heard of that? You need to get it. That's all I can say. You remember a nice passphrase, then it remembers all my passwords. My Gmail password's like 30 characters long. It's uppercase, lowercase, specials, number. I don't have a clue what it is. All I do is I log into LastPass, and it does it all for me. And it's nice. Same with my OSU password, same with my Twitter password, all those things. It works on my mobile phone, it works on everything. It does synchronize between all of them. You need to get something like that because if you have some crappy passwords, they're going to get broken. So you need to get something like that. Okay. Normally the client connects to the server, says, hey, do you have an email for me? Now, a lot of times nowadays we have push notifications like on our phone, stuff like that. But it's still the same basic thing. The client connects to the server, gets the email, and then retrieves it from there. Okay. Emails are normally in this format. Okay. Now, if you get an email from bgates@microsoft.com, who do you think that's from? Probably not Bill Gates at Microsoft.com. The from address. Does anyone know what the requirements are for that? The from address? Nothing. I can say my name's Barack Obama at whitehouse.gov. It's just like an email you get, not an email. You ever get a letter at your house? You know that thing out front of your house, got the little door you pull down, flag maybe? Well, in the top left-hand corner, there's an address. That's the from address. What can go there? Anything. An easy way to get free email. So if you're going to mail something to somebody, put their address in the to area, put their address in the front area, leave the stamp off. So try to deliver it to their house. Oh, sorry, return to sender, no postage. It'll go back to them and they get their mail. So it works like a champ. So, but the point is, the from address doesn't mean anything. Okay, and it can be spoofed very, very easily. Okay, but normally it's user at the domain, like rose.edu or whatever. Okay. All right. Does anyone still use AOL? I had a person come in here that still uses AOL. I'm like, this is like 2015. Like, yeah, I know. Yeah, okay, I know. That was that lady, Cameron, that was speaking to me for an hour. Yeah. Okay. So some of the things you can do with email, we found out who did it, where it came from. You guys are basically going to have to figure out how it got here is what you're doing in this project. Okay. A lot of times it's hard to figure out where it came from. I used to work at an ISP, which is an internet service provider. We used to work with email all the time. We used to work with spam all the time. Well, last time I checked, it was about 94% of email is spam. Okay, which is a lot. So I used, when I ran my ISP, I had a couple thousand clients, and this lady called me one Monday morning, very upset. She's like, "You got to fix this. I'm frustrated. You got to fix this, or I'm going to have to cancel my service." I'm like, okay, what's going on? She goes, Friday when I left work, I made sure there was zero spam. I cleaned out everything. There was nothing in there. I came in Monday morning and I had 3 pieces of spam. Because that's unacceptable. She says, lady, I had 300 this morning alone. She goes, no. I said, ma'am, when you're on mailbox in front of your house, do you ever get JCPenney's and Kohl's? Yeah. What do you do with them? She goes, I throw them in the trash. I said, throw away the trash. Delete your spam. I mean, it's not that big a deal. Don't reply to it. Because the moment you reply to it, see, the deal is those companies send out millions of messages to every name they can think of. Most of them get rejected. But they actually came from an invalid address, so they don't really go back to where they came from. But once you reply to one, now they're like, now I got a good address. And then you sell your address. So don't reply to them, delete the stupid thing. Now, if it's something you sign up for. Like I signed up for something the other day, and there's too many emails coming from them. So I went in there and unsubscribed. But that was something I signed up for. But if you get Viagra email, just delete it. Don't reply and say, stop sending me. Because the moment you do, you're going to get 10 times more. Okay? Okay. All right. So depending on where you live, different things can be done. Okay? But email is commonplace. Spam's commonplace. Everything's used for everything nowadays. When I was up at University of Tulsa, the cyber crimes division came in and was talking about this one case they had where a lady worked at this company. It was getting harassed by email. I mean, terribly, to the point where she quit her job and moved. And she was getting harassed again. Quit her job, moved again. Was getting harassed. I mean, really, really bad harassment via email. They finally tracked it down, and it was a best friend of the family that she wouldn't go out with. It was kind of like, you're just a friend, I don't want to date you. And he felt bad this whole entire time. And since he was a friend of the family, every time she moved, he got her address. And they actually tracked it back to this guy that was upset over her not wanting to date him. So, yeah. And, another thing, what happens if, here's the way a lot of people make money on this. So if I was a bad guy, going to send an email to every student and employee at Rose State College that says, I just caught you surfing porn at work. Send me $100 or I'm turning you in. Guess what's going to happen?
You get a lot of money.
Some people are going to pay the money because they're like, oh crap. Okay, Mary, our secretary. Nicest lady you'll ever meet. I doubt Mary surfs porn. But can you imagine Mary, not knowing a lot about computers, says, oh my God, I need my job. They think I'm surfing porn. They're going to turn me in, but I didn't do it. But it's one of those, you're guilty until you're proven innocent, so she's going to pay $100. So you never know. So there's a lot of this stuff going on with email. Okay. Okay, you need to access the victim's computer to get it. If you get some spam and forward it to me, I can't do a blooming thing with it. The reason is, when we look at emails headers in a minute, it basically shows how it got there. So if the spam went to Brent, then Brent forwards it to Ken. All I'm going to get is from Brent to Ken. I'm not going to get from bad guy to Brent. So the way Brent would have to get it to me would be save the MSG or export or copy the header and send that to me. Okay. Back when I worked at an ISP, we had the OSBI investigating a doctor in Norman was selling prescriptions. $5, anything you want. Sold tons of them. And it was funny, when I started working there, it was funny, the guy quit, sold it to his idiot girlfriend, they hired me. I made like $60,000 in a few months, which is kind of nice. But I was the only person they had. But the OSBI was sitting there investigating this guy, and all the email was stored on the server. I was telling him how to get it, because he would come in, spend hours sitting there copying off email by email. And he's like, "Isn't there somebody I could do this from?" I said, "Yeah, but it was POP. It was a POP 3 at the time." I showed him how you could get the email from the server, but don't remove it off the server. He forgot to check the box and basically deleted it all off the server. He's like, "What am I going to do?" I said, "Dude, that's done. You deleted it off of my server. And this is a production server with thousands of clients. I'm not going to let you take it for 6 months." And no, it's not going to happen. But it was a bad thing. Okay. All right. You can copy an email, send it. If you actually took an email and copied it into another email, send it to me, that would be fine. You can't just forward it to me. Okay, GUI email programs, like most of us do webmail nowadays, they always vary. Google changes their format every 35 minutes. It's like there's always a new setting or a new something in your email. So I really can't tell you exactly how to do it in any of them. But normally, you have an email, you can read it, you can read the header. So I'm not going to show you how to do that here in a second. But they do vary based on client and server information. Okay. Outlook, easy enough. I'm going to show you how to do that one here in a second. Outlook Express, does that even exist anymore?
Yeah, does it?
Does it still exist? Yeah, they're all different. And I'm going to show you just Outlook. The rest of them aren't that big a deal. Here's what it looks like in Outlook. This we're going to look at in a second. All right. There's what it looks like Outlook Express. And we're going to look at some of these headers. But there's tons of different ones out there. No, we're not going through all these stupid headers, because there's too many. And it's like, why would you tell me exactly how to do it in an old version of Outlook? I don't know. But inside them, you can get the return path, you can get the email address, you can get the message ID, you can get all kinds of information about it, where it went, how long it took to get there, so on and so forth, okay? And we're going to look. There are a lot of tools that will do this. Sam Spade is one we're not going to cover, but that does it. There's a lot of online tools that you can use and analyze this email. So I recommend looking into some of those. Aaron and Internet are probably the two most popular for answering all the questions on this homework. Or Network Solutions, which I'll show you here in a minute. We're not worried about logs, but you can look at logging and see where the email went. When I ran my ISP, my mail logs alone are about 500 megs a day, just on email, because they're crazy huge. I deleted mine every 30 days, and Google never deletes them. So, depending on who you are, you can get different things out of there. There's just some logs there. Emails a lot of times are in databases. I'll look at, Exchange uses the database. Other ones are flat file. Mine was flat file because I had the cheaper version. But there's lots of different ones out there, okay? The logs can contain the client, the server, the hello message. The way email works is it connects us as a hello, H-E-L-O. That's what the client says. The server responds, they start communicating, send an email. Email's text. Did y'all know that? Email's all text, strictly text. Even if you send a video, it's encoded to text. Mine encoded to text, so it's kind of cool the way all that works. Unix system, they're normally starting the var log directory, and we're not going to have to worry about that. But this just shows you some of the different places they're stored. Okay, I think that's about all I want to cover in this presentation. I want to show you how all this works. Okay, so there's so much. Come on, Novell group wise. FAA used the last time I heard. Does anyone know if anyone else uses it? So I don't know who else uses it. FTK does this. We will not be using it for this project, though. We're really just going to be using Internet and reading a text file is all we're going to do. But there are a lot of programs. I gave you the actual email. You could paste it in some of these tools and actually get information. So Sam Spade's a good one. Just There's lots of them out there. Okay. All right. I think, yeah, that's all I want to cover out of this part because they go through the different tools, which we're not going to cover at this point. All right. Your project is to examine this email, which, if all goes well, Outlook will open right now. Okay, yeah.
Is that PowerPoint? Is it on
PowerPoint's under week 1. Okay, I'm not going to send in my email calendar. I just want to open the message. All right, here it is. This came from Roy Baggett. Not necessarily, but this time it actually did. But now, in Outlook, the way you read the header is you go File, Properties, Header down here. Okay, see it? Then what you do is you Control A, you would copy it all, then you would go over here to like Notepad, spell it correctly. Did I not spell? What the hell? Why is Notepad not installed in this damn thing?
Try Word. Probably turned off.
Oh, the freaking people. Okay, just paste it in there, and there's the header. That's all you need to know to make this assignment. Okay, now it would be boring if I actually looked at the real one you're working on, so we're not going to do that. You wouldn't want me to do that.
the? Oh, yes.
No, but I did give you some sample emails. Now the one under content, if you go over here to Course Tools Content, under Lab 1, you will see the assignment, the presentation, the email you actually need to look at, and then some samples. We're going to walk through the samples. Okay? Do not submit the samples as your assignment. That's not it. Someone did it last semester. I'm like, it says sample. You all understand that? Okay. But the one you need to track, I gave you the email. I gave you the header, plus I also gave it to you in PDF format. So the header in text is right there. The header in PDF is right there. Okay. So it is all there. So you don't have to, the MSG file won't open without Outlook unless you get some other tools. So you can use the text file. I copied it out for you so you don't have to worry about that. Okay. Let's look at some of these other ones. Okay. There's also an answer file up here that has all the answers to the assignment, which I'm not going to open. Okay. Now this is an email I received a few years back. Okay. I'm going to go File, Properties. I'm going to get down here to the header, and we're going to look at it. So Windows has Notepad has to be on here. Okay. All right. I'm going to make this much bigger so those of you in the cheap seats can actually see it. All right. This is an actual email I received. The way you read a header is from the bottom up. What happens is it starts a header. Then as it goes through each client, it keeps adding more information to the beginning. So you read it from the bottom up. Where it ended is at the top. Okay? So let's start at the bottom, look at this email. Okay? The actual email is right there. Okay? So down here, again, this is just the header of how it got there. A couple things of important. Message ID. It's kind of like the signature. If you needed to, if you're submitting, actually working on a real live crime, you'd want that. So that's, hey, this is the email and this is the signature of it. Okay. Here at the top is going to kdewey@rose.edu, which is me. Reply to, here's who to reply. That is not always right. So basically, normally like you get an email, a lot of times they'll come from a mail server. But when you hit reply, like at the president, you'll send out an email. The reply address is probably her secretary. The president doesn't want to get replies. So reply to can actually be different from where it came from. Okay? Now, does anyone know when this email started? August 18, 2008, at what time? 5:43. What is that minus 500? I'm sorry, minus 700. What is that?
West Coast.
West Coast. It's time zone. Okay? We are minus 6. East is minus 5. West Coast is actually 9. So this is really mountain time. This is halfway between us and the West Coast. This is probably what? Wherever in the middle there.
Where's
The middle
Central?
states are.
Where's Central?
Colorado.
They're in Colorado. Perfect. Okay. So it started at 5:43. 17 is military time, by the way. If you don't know that, figure it out. It's not that difficult. All right. So it came from First Command Bank. Okay. But this is the actual email address. So it probably came from an automated statement system, as you can tell. Okay. Now, it says received from 127,001. Anyone know anything about that address? It's a loopback. It's an internal address. So it came from an internal address? What the heck does that mean? What that means is it was most likely a mail server or mail statement generating device that generated and gave it to itself. Kind of like it generated the message, it was received from itself by this guy. So this is actually a mail server. So the mail server received it from itself. So most likely some sort of system that generated statements. Okay? And there's the hello message I told you about. Hello, right there. Okay? So it went with SMTP, which stands for? Simple Mail Transport Protocol. It's kind of cool. It's up at University of Tulsa. And one of the guys, he was talking about SNMP. SNMP. Some guy goes, what's SNMP? Oh, it's something to do with email. No, that's SMTP. SMNP is Simple Network Management Protocol. Okay? It's a little bit different. SMTP, Simple Mail Transport Protocol. Okay. So it went from itself to this machine. Everybody okay with me?
Yeah.
Then you'll notice if we go up, it came from that machine. Now, sometimes .orgs, .nets are the same. A lot of times, like when I had my place, I was .com and .org, or no, com and .net. So a lot of times they're the same. But so it came from DLCE. Here is its address. Okay? It came from DOLC at this address by mail.bitstatements.org. So this machine set it to this machine. Okay? Well, what is this address here? So I'm going to copy that address. There's a couple websites you need. Actually, really only two. First one is Aaron.net. It was actually listed in the slides. Aaron.net, I'm going to put that IP address in here. Okay? And what this tells me is that IP address, or in other words, that IP address block belongs to the XO Corporation out of Sunville Drive, Herndon, Virginia. Okay, and they can find all kinds of information. So if I wanted to know, hey, this email started at this place, here's where I'd be contacting somebody. Because that's really the first address we had. We had the 127,001, but this is really the first public address. So if I'm doing a crime scene, this would be the place I would start. Hey, your system sent out a message. Okay? So far, so good? Everybody with me? So it went from there to mail.bitstatements.org. Then look at the next one. Then it went from mail.bitstatements.org to ironport.admin.rosa.cc.ok.us. Now, so this mail.bitstatements.org, this is his address. See that? It's actually in the same range as the other guy. Right? There it is, right here. Duh. It's in the same exact range as this guy. You know, the only thing different is the 196. See that? So, in other words, it was probably the system generating it, and then actually sent it to the SMTP server to send it out. Okay? So it came from Dulce, it went to mail, then it was received from mail by Ironport. Now, believe it or not, this is actually Rose State. Years ago, that's how we were known. It was kdewey at admin.rosa.cc.ok.us. Finally got it, because EDU addresses were only for four-year schools. But
We're only for what?
four-year colleges. Since we're two-year, we couldn't have one. So that's why we were admin.rosa.cc.ok.us. We actually still go by that, because they've never fully rebuilt our domain. They've been upgrading it, well, the new versions, but they've never really wiped, so that's actually still in there. So, in some areas. All right. So, it went from this bitstatements.org to this guy right here. Okay? So far, we're up to 9:43 in 45 seconds. When did we start? So we started at 43:37. Now we're at 43:45. So what's that? 8 seconds?
It's 1943.
No,
Is it 2 hours different?
No, it's a different time zone.
Oh, so this one's -7, this one's -5.
You're right.
So really, -5. So if that was received at Rose State, which is -5, I already told you we're -6.
So eight
not
seconds.
during daylight savings.
Daylight savings time. There you go. So now you know that that was us. So really, -7 was really -6, which was still mountain time during daylight savings time. But, okay. So it was received by Ironport right here. Then it came from Ironport. It was received from Ironport, then went by Ray right here. You see this. Now, the weird thing is this right here. This address. What's up with that address? Internal address. It was received internally to Rose State. Since the email is actually being delivered internally, that's why it's displaying the internal addressing to me. So we actually have two different internal and external addresses here. Okay, so then we went from Ironport to Ray, then it went from Ray to Triton, and that's where it ended. Okay, we have an Ironport, which is our firewall and our spam checker and all that stuff. So Ironport sent it to Ray, which is our virtual mail server, then Ray sent it to Triton, where it actually delivered it. And that's where I would get my mail from back at this time period. Okay, everybody see how that works? So it started at 43:37. It was delivered at 43:46. How long did it take? 9 seconds? 9 seconds to get here. Don't tell me 2 hours and 9 seconds. Okay? All right, let's look at another one. Yes, that email was doing it by hand. Let's look at another one. Is this... Okay, here we go. I'm going to open up this one here. I'm going to copy this message out, the header right there. Okay. Now, down at the bottom, you see there's a bunch of JPEGs and Word documents, because there was. This email had a lot of pictures in it, a lot of attachments to it, and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Then once you get down to it, you'll see the topic, Fall 2 Course Development. Then you'll see it started at 22:54. There's our subject line. Okay. And where's the 2? Let's see. There's the message ID. Here's the 2. So it came from Kathleen Collada at this address. And it went to course development at park.edu. I got this email. That's not me. How is that possible? So Kathleen sent it to me, except that doesn't say can do it. How'd I get it? Actually, it wasn't CC this time. It's actually blind CC. Blind carbon copied on this one. If it was CC, you would have seen everybody else's address. You would have seen every person's name on the list. I hate CC. Especially when someone sends you something, they reply to everybody, and as soon as just use BCC. BCC is blind carbon copy. That's why when y'all get emails from me, normally it looks like it came just to you. Actually, it probably looks like it came to me. You just happen to get a copy of it. Because I put you guys in the blind carbon. I don't believe in sending my email out, or your email out to everybody. So that was blind carbon copy. So I got a copy of it, or it could have been a mailing list as well. I don't know exactly how theirs is set up. But that's why it doesn't have my name on there. Okay. So, again, we started at 22:54 right here. So, received from bluebeard.park.edu with this address. What's weird about that address? It's internal. It was received by SMTP1 at 192.168. What's up with that address? Internal as well. Okay. So, then it came from that SMTP by Pirate IMAP, which is internal yet again. Okay. Then it was received from pirate.park.edu, because here's pirate, remember SMTP1 went to pirate.park. So it came from pirate.park, and now we actually have an address. So I'm going to take that address, and I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go to Aaron and put that address in. I want to know who to contact here. Okay. University of Missouri, DBA, the Missouri Research and Educational Network, the MORENet. Here's their address. So there's a good place to start. Okay. Now that is not who's in charge of pirate.park.edu. That's who's in charge of their connection. For instance, at my house, my provider is Cox. So my provider would be Cox, but that's not me. So pirate.park.edu is not MissouriNet, but that's who their connection is. So their IP address belongs to MORENet. My IP address belongs to Cox. Rose State's belongs to the higher one. So if you look up Rose State, look up Rose State's address, it would really say higher one, or OneNet, which is our connection. Now I want to contact park.edu because they're sending out junk mail. So how would I do that? Well, if I was to go over here to Network Solutions, NETSO or networksolutions.com, either one, they're fine. If you scroll down, there's many places you could do this, but if you go down here to Who Is Search, I'm going to type in, actually first I'm going to type in, I just want to see who's in charge of Google. Let's find out who's in charge of Google. Has nothing to do with this email, but I just want to show you what this returns. What this returns, all the domain information. The domain, google.com. The registrar is Mark Monitor. You see that right there? I know it's hard to see. There it is. The registrar is Mark Monitor. The registrar is right here. Their domain and status. The registrant is different than the registrar. The registrant is who registered it. The registrar is who you registered it with. Okay. The registrant is DNS admin. The organization is Google. Here's their address. Here's their phone number, so on and so forth. So if I get an email from Google, that's how I can start. Okay. So let's do the same thing for park.edu. Okay, let's go back one. Now it's huge. I can't see it. Shrink a little bit. Okay, let's go over here. We're going to do park.edu. Come on, show me something. It's waiting. Sometimes it takes forever. Sometimes you just refresh the page and it makes it work so much better. Come on. You can now start a query. Come on, you stupid page. Okay, let's do it again. Yeah, sometimes you have to do it twice. I don't know why it does that. Well, it's still taking forever. There it goes. Okay, park.edu. Okay. In this case, the registrar is EduCause, and that's all I get. Well, crap. What good is that? So how do I find out who the heck's in charge of park.edu? Anybody know? Let's go to EduCause. We're going to copy this address out of there. We're going to go over here to EduCause. What it is edu addresses are managed in a different location. So now we're at EduCause. So we're going to go up here. We're going to Nslookup right there. Now I'm going to type in park.edu. Search. Now I'm getting some information. So we know the registrar was EduCause. The registrant is Park University, there's their address, and then the administrative contact is Ken Austin, and so on and so forth. It's not really commonplace nowadays to put a name with contacts. So having an administrative contact at Ken Austin, you won't normally see that anymore. Does anyone know why?
Because he might not be there in 6 months.
He might not be there. So normally it would be DNS admin or whatever. Because the odds are Ken Austin, I don't know when they update this, but some of my old domains still had my name on them, and I sold that company 10 years ago. So they just don't update them because it takes time. So, but if I was asking who the administrative contact was, you would say Ken Austin. If I would say, who's the technical contact? You would say DNS registrar. Easy enough. Okay. So remember, error.net is when you put in the IP address, it tells you who their connection is. That's still important. Okay. So I would say, this email came from park.edu. Here's Park's information. I retrieved this information on this website. Their connection is hosted by MoreNet, and there's their information. So what happens a lot of time, if I send a junk mail here, they actually contact OneNet. Whoever I send it to actually contacts OneNet, then OneNet will contact Rose State, and then Rose State will contact me. Yeah. I was actually teaching a class similar to this up in Colorado, and what we did is, it was a class for teachers. I was teaching teachers so they could go back and teach the material. Well, we're actually doing a network scan. So I said, everybody, let's scan your school. Just scan your external web page. So all we did was we brought up a tool, put in their external website, and just did a quick scan of it to see what was open. So I did Rose State, and all the other teachers did all their schools. Well, I had an instructor there from Cameron University in Lawton. He did his school. Well, their people caught it. They caught the scan. They contacted OneNet, because that's where it came, because we actually did it through the vSphere system. So they contacted OneNet, who then contacted Rose State's John Primo. Then he contacted me. He goes, Ken, we notice you're doing something on the network. You're scanning other schools. Really shouldn't be doing that. I said, yeah, it was just a project, and it was an external port. And by the way, I scanned you as well, and you didn't even notice it. He's like, you did? Yeah, I mean, I says, yeah, I scanned you as well. You should have seen it. It was just an external port scan that anybody in the world could do. Wasn't like it was internal to Rose State. So it was kind of funny. But that, you understand the difference between the connection and the domain. So if you saw that email from park.edu and you think it's junk, you're going to contact Ken Austin. But you also might need to include information about the connection, which we know at that time is MoreNet. Okay. Remember, Aaron.net is the connection. So let's look up, we go back to Aaron here real quick. How can I find out, let's find out who Rose State has. Okay. I'm going to go to the command prompt here. I'm going to do Nslookup. You will need this most likely. Well, maybe not. But Nslookup, it stands for Name Server Lookup. You've probably seen it before. I'm going to do a lookup of mail.rose.edu. And crap, it's internal. Let's do Nslookup. So the problem is I'm getting the internal information. Mail.internettext.net. Okay, there. That's the company I used to own. I used to own internettext.net. You don't need to know how to read it. But I'm going to put in 66.210.163.130. Okay, that's my old IP address. My old block of addresses that I managed. Okay, now like I said, that was owned by Ken Dewey. I sold it to a company called, I don't remember, Enter something. Whatever it was. It wasn't Cox. But how come when I put in that address I get Cox?
Cox probably bought them.
No, Cox did not buy them. Cox is their connection. So I looked up mail.internettext.net, which was my company, and returned an address. And on Aaron, that basically says, where is mail.internettext.net hosted? In other words, what's their provider? It's on Cox. Okay, so if I was to go over here to this lookup, let's go back to Network Solutions, nedsol.com. And I'm going to scroll down here. You can also do it on GoDaddy. You can do Whois on. You can even go to Whois for Whois. I know it's weird, but you can. Go to whois.net. I'm going to put in internet text, spell it right, .net. Okay. It's hosted on GoDaddy. And IT Service Station, that's who bought it for me. Right there, IT Service Station. They actually changed the information, which is good, because for the longest time they still had my name on there. But you can find information. So we're very easily found. We looked up an IP address using Nslookup, but the IPs are all in the header anyway. But if they weren't in the header, let me go back into my header here. Let's just say See this pirate.park.edu right there? See that? I'm going to do Nslookup. Pirate.park.edu. Now, it might not match perfectly because this email was quite a few years ago. But if this was a recent email, this address right at the bottom would match it. Just that the email's from 6 years ago. The odds are, I know they've moved since then. They're on Google now. So they're actually, and the way you read this, let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Let's see, that's under properties, font. Let's go to Lucidia. We'll give it a 20. The way you read this, see, I typed in nslookup pirate.park.edu, and this first information is what server is it using to get the information from. So it's querying Rose State server. And Rose State server returned pirate.park.edu is at this address. And that's probably Google, I'm assuming. Okay? Now this whole non-authoritative, those of you who had some of my classes, you should know what that is. But what that means is cached. Somebody has looked this information up in the past, and it's cached on some server somewhere. So we did not actually go out and contact Park University. It's kind of like we asked DNS, hey, does anyone know pirate? Oh, I know it. Don't bother looking up, I already know it. That's what non-authoritative means. Like if I was going to do Nslookup on a website, let me think of a website no one uses, www.google.com. No one searched that today, have they?
Yeah.
Look at that, non-authoritative. Someone searched it today. And if you don't know this part, watch this. See the numbers? They change. See that? Anyone know why they change?
If there's some sort of problem,
Load balancing.
Yeah, it's called round robin. Every time someone hits Google, they get another server. They keep rotating. That way not everybody's seeing the same website on Google. So sometimes you hit a website, it's down. It might not be. That one server might be down, but Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, they all have tons of them. So you just hit another one. Yes?
So if you get a non-authoritative answer, is it safe to say that it came from the server that's listed above?
Most likely. Because what happens is, I asked Rose State that information. Okay? Rose State, we'll pretend they've never heard of Google. Okay? Rose State, huh? Google? What's that? So what it does, it says, hey, do we know who's in charge of the .com domains? And we'll pretend they don't. Rose State's like, I don't know. So then at that point it contacts the root servers. There's 13 of them in the world. A couple years back they got hit by hackers, took on 11 of them. No problem. So the entire world worked off of 2 just fine. But the root servers say who's in charge of .com, .edu, .org, .cc, everything like that. That's all they worry about. So the root servers will say, hey, Rose State, .com's hosted over there. So then Rose State would ask .com, hey, .com server, who's Google, www.google.com. And the .com would say, oh, Google's managed over there. So then Rose State would say, hey, person who manages Google, what's the address of your www server? Then it would return it. And then from that point on, until the record expires, we would remember it. Yes?
Is there any way to bypass the cached answer?
Yes, you can actually specify the query from a different server. I cannot do that here. But, like at home, I can do 8.8.8.8, which is basically query from a different server. But that's Google anyway. So 8.8.8 is Google if you didn't know that. That's why I use it for everything. But what you're telling it is, don't ask my own DNS. Ask that address. So, and records expire sometimes in hours. My records expired in 8 days. But when I was going to do work, I'd lower them to like 3 days. Then I'd lower them to like 1 day. Then I'd lower them to like 1 hour. Especially when I knew I was going to be making a lot of changes. Because you don't want a record to be cached for 8 days if I'm going to make changes every 30 minutes. So while I was doing maintenance moving IP address around, I have them set to 1 hour. So then every hour they'd be contacting me, hey, what's the address? What's the new address? What's the new address? But Google, I'm assuming, is cached. We could actually look. You could actually go to dnstools.com and see exactly how long Google does cache their information. So not important for this project, but you could do that. Okay. A couple websites that were nice. So like I said, SamSpade is a good one for tracking emails. Network Solutions, NETSOL, or networksolutions.com. GoDaddy has a good Whois as well. Whois is also a good Whois, but for some reason Whois is like you can do one search, then it kind of locks up for 30 minutes. I don't know know why. Let's see, DNS Tools is good. NW Tools is another one. You can also find good information on there. So there's a lot of different places you can find DNS information, email information. But there's websites, you can dump that email in there, and it'll even draw you a graphical picture of exactly where it went. So, you just gotta find something. Don't just submit that. Okay, now, let's actually look at the assignment for this semester, which happens to be spring 2015. It might not be the same for everybody reading this. It might be different. So, check your assignment. But here, no, that's not what I want either. Hold on. Should I open the answering? No, we don't answer the answers. Let's open this one. Okay. No, that's not either. Well, hell. Hold on. That's the bottom one. No, I don't want the answer one.
Answer key.
All right. It's supposed to electronic. Oh, actually, you're not. Darn it. You're not posting to Dropbox this time. We'll get there in a second. Bless you. Okay. Purpose to figure out how an email works. Okay. An email's been received. Your job is to track its origin and answer some questions about it. Examine the email. Determine as much as you can. In the past, I would have people tell me what they found. But the problem grading that is there's a lot of information. I would literally get a paragraph. Sometimes I get 20, 30 pages. So now I'm finding I would answer some questions. So the specific questions are below, and they're also to be submitted in the quizzes section. The quiz isn't timed, but must be submitted by the time identified. In other words, you can open it and put some information in it. Save each time. Don't hit submit. Once you hit submit, I'm grading it. I grade it once. So don't answer one and hit submit. Oh, dude, I screwed up. Okay. You can open it multiple times, but only submit it once. Everybody got that? How many times can you submit it? Just one, twice.
28.
No specific rules. The scope of this project includes the emails and anything needed to complete it. You may use any publicly available tool to try to track down the origins. There's a lot of other tools, okay? But just answer the question. Here's the questions. I put them in here. These are, I pasted it directly off the quiz.
But the answer's correct too.
Yes. How long did it take to get there? Okay, what's the IP address of this? Okay. And by the way, when I give you an example, I'd like it in that format. That way it'll auto-grade. I will check each one of these, but just in case. IP address of Google's mail server. Technical contact of Rose State. Where did it go after this address? What type of waffles? Okay. Who's the registrar of GMX? These all make sense, somewhat. Okay, which recipient is related to this specific address? What's the address, the IP address of this guy? Okay, and what time zone is GMX in? I did not enter any of these for you guys, but I showed you where to get all the answers you need. But this email did go from here to there to there to there to there to there to there. So it's not, there's one place like these ones I've been showing you. Okay, so don't analyze the sample emails because you're not going to get the answers off of there. Okay, is everybody okay with what you're going to do? It's due next week sometime? Let's look at that. That might be a good thing to know. It's due. See, I don't know when it's due. It's due the 25th at 11:59 p.m. What's that? Is that Sunday? So they're going to be due on Sundays. Yeah, well, see, normally I have everything due on Sunday, but we meet on Tuesdays. I might change it to be a due on Tuesday. If I do, I'll let you know. So normally I give you one full week, but yeah, I think I'll make all forensics assignments due on Tuesday. Well, no, Monday. So if we make them Tuesday, then you're all going to show up to class, and I can't talk about it because it's not due yet.
Monday.
It's probably Monday at midnight. Will that work for you? That's good. All right. So yeah, I'll probably do that. But the other ones are all inactive. Ignore the rest of the stuff on here. So everybody know what they got to do? You know where to get the emails from? The .msg file, you do need Outlook to open it. But I gave you it in text file. So don't freak out. Like someone said, I don't have Outlook, I can't afford to buy it, and I'm not doing this because blah. No, I gave it to you in text. I also gave it to you in PDF. So there should be no reason.
Well, there's MSG viewers out there.
Yeah, there's MSG viewers. There's websites. Like I said, you can literally paste it in there, and it'll analyze the entire thing and build you a little chart. Came from here to here to here to here. You just got to find them. So I'm going to tell you everything. Any questions on this assignment? Yes, sir.
I haven't used this system before. I've logged into Oasis.
Yeah.
Is it the same credentials, or do I need to register
No.
for D2?
You should have got an email at your student account.
Okay.
It should be something, welcome. Didn't anyone know what that email says? Well,
I think I've got it.
okay, if you didn't get it, just go to D12, forgot my password, it'll send you a new one right there.
Okay.
That's the easiest. Just go there, forgot my password, it'll email it to you.
Do they still use your birthday?
Can we update the password?
Not to D, you can update it in D2L. Yeah, they use your birthday in Oasis, which you can change it now, by the way. You can change, but it's still a hard code your birthday. It's weird. But this system does not link. So log in, whatever the credentials they tell you, and then do it to it. Okay. If you have any problems getting in, please let me know. Because if you don't do anything by next week, I'm dropping you from the class. Sound good? All right, let me stop this recording. Those of you who I already got your name, you can leave. The rest of you, I want to get your names real quick so I know who was here.